Well, it is my pleasure to be visiting with Julie, the Director of Programs and Support for the Alzheimer Association, Nebraska. And I'm going to have just a few tips and conversations today, support options and resources that are available for families, for caregivers, and for people that are helping loved ones that have dementia or Alzheimer's. Julie, thank you for having this conversation with us today. What kind of programs right now are you leading or interested in starting?
Yeah. Well, everything's gone virtual since about mid-March, like a lot of other things. We're not doing anything in person right now, but we do have a lot of educational programs that are done via virtual web, or you can even just listen in on your phone. If you don't want to use your computer, you can listen and get the same information. I will share a calendar for June that has probably 12 different programs and some at varied times that you can share and join. They're free. They're offered in collaboration with our partnering states. So we really have a nice offerings for June, and we're working on a new calendar for July. So that's really exciting. We also have support groups across the state. Now, a lot of those are not meeting, obviously, in person right now.
Yeah.
We have a very few number that are trying to meet via telephone. We make it some that will start to meet virtually. But I could also share with you, Karla, there's some support groups. We've partnered with other states to really make sure that we are helping folks that need assistance, and there's support groups that you can join. So even if I'm in Nebraska, I can join a support group in Iowa because we're all virtual right now. So it totally works to connect. So I will share those lists with you as well, and anyone can join those. Again, and be just via phone too. There's also I would always recommend calling for any information or resources, the 1-800 number. And excuse me, I feel like I'm going to have to get it pulled up here to give you the 1-800 number at the end of the call. But that'd be my first place to go, is always calling that 1-800 number. They are available 24/7. They're our partners. Really, they can help connect you to resources, information. And if they need more assistance, they'll direct you back to us too, and then we'll reach out. Also, yeah, go ahead.
I love that collaboration that you're able to do, with different teams and different partners throughout the United States. It's so important because caregiver stress and fatigue and burnout and elder abuse is really magnified right now and at an all-time high. So, any support or tips would be so helpful. I know, Julie, you've had previous experience helping families with that stress. What other sort of tips would you give?
I think for sure, besides calling and asking for help, I think that's the biggest thing. I think a lot what we've seen from the Alzheimer's Association is people were doing pretty good for a little while, right? We thought we can manage this. I'm doing fine. And we saw our 1-800 numbers actually go down for a little bit. And I think we all as individuals think we can do it all, right? But we've now seen those numbers come back and even be more than they were because people have realized this is going to be more long-term. And so I am going to need some help, and really making new plans, adjustments to your plans is the way I think of it. Is maybe this is how it was going, but being ready to adapt that a little bit. And those are the types of things, talking with someone on the 1-800 number, or even a friend, your provider, readjusting your plans is really kind of where we're at. Reaching out for help. You're not in this alone. That's why that 24/7 is so great, because you could call anytime when anything's going on. We've seen, when routines change, it causes stress for everybody, and especially folks with dementia or Alzheimer's related disease. It's very stressful. So I think what we thought might be a short-term at home piece it's just becoming much more long-term. So we do need to make some adaptations.
Yeah, you're right. Those adaptions are so important because we already see a lot of isolation with somebody that has loved ones that have dementia or Alzheimer's related disease. And now with the COVID-19 restrictions and physical distancing, that isolation is, max, tenfold. It's so much more than what it was already. And so, for families who are feeling the stress, or, they're feeling like they're maybe getting to their tipping point, or, somebody that was maybe filling in because they were temporary back home or working remotely, but now they're resuming as the world starts to open back up and people start getting back to work. Now that niece or that daughter, whoever that was, isn't there, and not to have that additional supervision or support is difficult when maybe these last couple weeks there was more available, and now, like you said, that's changed. So as far as kind of ideas to get out of the house, or any activities that you've heard from families that have helped them to keep maintain their stress levels, any other ideas to get out safely?
Well, luckily it's getting nicer out here, so that does help. Today's beautiful. I was thinking we have some really good tip sheets on the Alzheimer's website. So if you haven't been there too, I know there's like activity pages and such that give some tips as things to do. If it's safe and the person is mobile, maybe taking a walk, or doing some of those. There's also some great things on the television too, or web, if someone's savvy with that, visiting museums that had never been open to us to see virtually now that we couldn't before. So those are some things that we've seen, I know, pass out with like the Jocelyn in Omaha, and either ones across the world too, where you can actually go visit. I know the zoos had done a lot of neat things too, with just, it's like a 10-minute break of what you were doing, just building those in.
I do. I love that. And the sunshine that we're getting here these last couple days feels so good. It's so good for your soul. Like you said, if you're able to get out safely, that's great for the caregiver. That's great for the patient, the client, the loved one with dementia. It's good for everybody. So it's so important to not only, take care of our loved ones, but also take care of ourselves. Because then we can provide better care, and they need us, so we need to take care of ourselves. That's really important. I know a lot of families have been challenged with possibly putting moves on hold because they're, concerns about the no visitation. If, they move somewhere, this could be saying goodbye for a long time, or for months at least. And so they've kind of been brainstorming, what can we do? How can we find additional support? Or how can we bring in maybe caregivers for part of the day? Any advice there on just kind of respite options during this time?
That's a good question. I know, well, from the association side, they recently created a new program to share about caregiving and COVID-19, and one of the topics was moving. It doesn't provide a lot of answers, but more thought-provoking questions. Is this the right time to move? And I'd want to have that discussion with your provider for sure, and see what thoughts they might have. I can probably share with you those questions as well if you want, off that slide that kind of walks through what are some things to consider when you're brainstorming. Is this something we want to do? As far as respite, we don't offer that service out of the Alzheimer Association, but I know there are other statewide programs that are available. If you're not familiar with those, I could give you the resources as well to share with people. But I think it's a tough question because there's not enough of that either, right? As we know.
On your right, Julie, everything is very situational. And what maybe works for one family might not work for another family. And so, when we're having those conversations, we're always thinking about safety, number one, dignity, and quality of life. And so, kind of taking all of these different pieces of the puzzle and putting it together to find out, what are the options, and just for people to know, what those options are, um, before crisis happens. It's, great to have you and have the resources available. And I'll put all those links here with the video, for people to check out and to read into and to have those resources to call.
Great, that's wonderful. And I think the Alzheimer's webpage, again, I can't speak more highly of it. There's so much education you can just go through on that website. And there's also ALZConnected, which is another support group. I think, honestly, support groups, you might have more chance to, if you haven't had the opportunity to attend, this might be the opportunity, because you can do it virtually almost anytime, especially like that ALZConnected. It's open 24/7 too. So you'd be connecting with folks in similar situations. And I think they generate a lot of good ideas. Again, they may not work for everybody, but it'd be a simple way to reach out.
Well, and that technology that's put in place allows somebody also to have that support without leaving the loved one that they're maybe caring for. So there are some really neat things as we get more and more options and resources to be able to virtually connect and do that safely with the ones that we love and care about. So I will include all of those resources. Julie, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, you're welcome. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
You too. Thank you for all that you do.
You're welcome. Thank you.